You could be honest, man. You ain't gotta hold back your feelings on how you feel.
Long live Tupac, man.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. We're back with Cuts from the Street.
Cuts from the
As always, I'm Officer UZL, Soldier Solomon, Soldier Soraya.
How come I'll never get to say my name?
What's your name?
Soldier Solomon.
What's your name? I'm Soldier Soraya. Okay, here we go. So tonight, you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out here, do what we do. It's controversial. This is controversial.
They see it in the background. You think they can see it in the background?
Only they can see it. If you can't see it, we're at Dr. King Center on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. In Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. And we're about to question our people on their so-called hero.
Long live Tupac, man.
So we are here asking quick questions to see where our people's minds are about MLK and his ideals, right? Now, about the integration thing, he claimed he was a pastor or reverend, right? Integration.
No, he was a reverend.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay, integration. Was that a good thing for us as a people?
In many aspects, it was, although we lost a lot as far as our community is concerned. But the growth as a people, and to realize that it's more about being inclusive in the world, more so than in the community. I think that's important.
Being a part of the church where he taught, I wanted to ask you, are you from? Of course, I'm sure you're familiar with his the speech "I Have a Dream." So, would you say that fast forwarding to today's time, would you say that the dream that he had has it been realized today, or are we living in his dream today?
Well, I wouldn't say that we are living in his dream. Where at this time we need a lot of heart searching, because see, Dr. King, he was a visionary. And so many of us today, we don't want to just, if we see something, we don't want to speak up for justice. And he was a man that believed in justice no matter what he had to go through. He stood on that. And that's where many of us older people, as myself, I learned as a farmer's daughter, my daddy said if he said yes, his yes was yes and his no's was no. And so Dr. King was a leader, a man of culture, that he understood what it was like to be poor, and he understood how to be rich. And he was he left a legacy for his children to pick up where he left off and run with it. But we got to stop sitting back and looking at, royalties, and we want to have all these riches, and we got to search our roots, because I am, and my children is the seed of the Madam C.J. Walker. And she was a breeder before she was a walker. So we have picked up the pieces, and we're getting ready to launch out for all her designing, and we want to open up the museum here in Georgia. So that's what Dr. Martin Luther King left a legacy here. But today, I do believe after the speaking today that many people has grabbed hold to the roots, that they understood that we are grassroots people, and we're not going to make it unless we think about what he said to us, and he educated us with the knowledge how to move forward.
All right, people. It's a little breezy out here, but I got to my right,
Sean Campbell.
Sean Campbell, and to my left,
Andre Brown.
Okay, what we out here doing? You guys are here for MLK today?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so what we out here doing, we asking our people a little bit about Martin Luther King and what they do know about him and his message, right? So, starting with you, what can you tell me about Dr. King and his message?
Man, Martin Luther King had a nonviolent approach to changing the plight of black people in American society. You know, he advocated for equality and he believed in, for the better part of his life at least, and at least publicly, a nonviolent pursuit of achieving that. He used Christianity as his beacon to unite people, and he moved forward in that direction until the day that he died. Although his views may have begun to change a little later on in life, based on some of the people that knew him and some of the things you read about him, for the most part, that'd probably be the best way that I could sum it up.
What about you? Good job, by the way. What about you?
Well, I would say, to echo the same thing, the opportunity to have a man. We were here today to just pay our respects and honor the man who, really transform our nation in terms of addressing the grievances and speaking out on nonviolence, while at the same time bringing our communities together to fight the injustices that are not only people of color but other historically oppressed groups faced during his time.
Okay, now you said a heavy point about our own having our own communities. Right. Now we don't have that. As far as our businesses, back then we own our own businesses like hotels, we own hospitals, we own our own universities. So now shouldn't that be more of a benefit towards us instead of being included with all the world? Now we have to go through every other nationality for things that we already had.
But is that a point of our own desire to have those things and build our community as other cultures and other races have done? We shouldn't be dependent upon anyone. We should strive to build our own, maintain our own, take care of our own, grow our own.
Right. But now we thought we've been integrated, but we actually got assimilated. When you integrate, it's like both parties bring something to the table. That means I will bring my schools, my universities, my businesses, right? But we've got assimilated. The people that are on top now, they've taken everything that we had. Everything that we had went away.
But understand the end of his life, he also recognized that we needed economic development, economic growth, and he realized it just wasn't just going to be integration itself. It was going to be a matter of sharing in the growth and wealth of this nation as well.
Okay, and so let me ask that question because Dr. King, he advocated for integration in society today, so that we could, instead of blacks and whites using different water fountains and using different toilets and things like that, would you say that today have we benefited from the integration as a nation of people? Have we benefited from it, or were times better prior to integration?
Well, we did benefit from it because I remember my grandmother, she was a midwife, and she used to, drive into the town, and she said, I'm so tired of going and looking at these water fountains, and one of them say white and one of them say black. And it did help us. But then, I think sometimes, did it really help us? Because we are not where we need to be right now.
Long live Tupac, man.
For example, let's look at their businesses. When you go to Chinatown, anywhere in the world, do you see a soul food place down there?
No, I definitely think that my philosophy on integration is definitely more on a Malcolm X level. It's definitely more on a we should have these things separate, and then we should come together in the areas that matter to our country as far as economics, as far as social differences within. But when we're separate, and if you pay attention in Atlanta, it's very so like that. Like black people have one side of town. If you go to Southwest Atlanta, there's huge houses out there. There's black people living successfully, although it is more ran down. But we're asking people that are not us to fix our problems, but then we don't want those people in our community. So it's why are we asking them for things that we can provide for ourselves? Why are we asking white people to give us equal schools when we can just make our own school and not ask for it? We're asking the wrong people for the wrong type of things.
Prior to the civil rights movement, but prior to integration, there was a lot of segregation in this country. So what do you think, since now that we've integrated, and you say that there are some problems, because when you look at the news, a lot of our people, mainly our people, we're the ones that's being shot down in the streets, not the so-called white man, not the so-called Asians, or even the Arabs. It's always just us. So it seems as if integration has actually been our demise. Now, can you recall any black communities prior to civil rights that thrived and that flourished, and that were prosperous because of the segregation?
I can't even imagine in my mind or even think that or even really remember that all is traveling as a 31-year missionary everywhere I go. It's like that it's nothing happened good for us. So I know that even traveling to a lot of the poverty areas like English Avenue, where I ran my ministry, there is a problem because us, we as African American people, well, I look at the children, how they're shot down, and we have African American people who is leaders, and they know better. They've been taught better. But it's that slave mentality has to be killed. It has, when I say killed, I mean you have to renew your mind. The mindset has to be renewed to bring us out of that slavery mentality where we can come out of the box. Until that happens, they're going to always be killing. They're going to be racism. They're going to be poverty.
You guys believe in the Bible? What do you guys think the Bible say about integration?
We all one. We all made out of God's image. So it's no white person, black person, yellow person, blue person. All of us got the same blood.
Like on the Bible, it says, like, well, not in the Bible, but on the dollar, it says e pluribus unum, which means out of many one.
Okay. Now, what if I told you in that Bible it says that we are supposed to be separate?
Well, you have to show that to me.
All right, no problem. Verse 8.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam.
So are we all come from Adam, right? Every man come from Adam. So it said he separated the sons of Adam.
Well, he probably did separate them then. That's the Old Testament.
Long live Tupac, man.
So you said something interesting earlier about Dr. King and how later on his message kind of changed, right? Because even when you read about the March on Washington, but prior to what it turned into, it was actually supposed to be like a rebellious type, riot type thing, right? But towards the latter years, before he died, he made the statement as he felt as he had integrated his people into a burning house. What do you think about that statement that he said?
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, my friend and I were talking earlier about 5 minutes ago. I've always been, you know, more of a proponent of the philosophies of early Malcolm than I was of early Martin. And we were talking about the transitions that both of them made throughout the course of their lives and experiences and the reasons that they made them. You know, it's different because, you know, we also have to understand that the way Martin Luther King is portrayed publicly and in the mass media is not necessarily, you know, an accurate depiction, like many things. So, you know, it really takes an enhanced initiative to go out and, you know, research and read and come to certain conclusions for yourself. In terms of him saying that he had invited his people into a burning building, you know, I think that, you know, to put it plainly, a man can only take so many ass whoopings. I mean, you know, excuse the crassness of the statement, but, you know, reality starts to hit. And, you know, you can only march across so many bridges, watch your women and children get beat in the head with baseball bats by Anglo-Saxon savages so many times, and, you know, cling to white Jesus. It's a tough one.
Dr. King, would you agree that he was a Christian?
Yes, I do believe that he was a Christian.
So, so in him being a Christian, where did we learn the idea of Christianity?
Well, we learned the idea of Christianity. It goes back from our ancestors. And it really like a traditional thing, you know, because as I got older, I started thinking and studying and going to a lot of Bible colleges and stuff like that, and I'm searching information. It's a traditional thing that our ancestors done, and we piggybacked on that.
So let me ask you this, and you're absolutely correct. It was around during the time of our ancestors. So prior to us coming into the United States of America, of course, by way of slave ships, were we Christians or were we made Christians once we got here?
We was made, really and truly, we was made Christian when we got here.
If he hits her right now, whether the Bible has a statement about it or not, you feel like it's wrong. Like you feel it. Like if I watch him punch a girl or you watch a male punch a girl with his might and like fight her, you feel that in your heart that that's wrong. But guess what you do? You don't say nothing. You just keep it pushing because it's not your life. So that's what I mean by the things that's within you that you feel, that you don't need something written down to tell you, that you can reconnect to your God through your own feelings. Like you can close your eyes and feel God within you and feel God around you and feel the things that he needs for you. So I think that a lot of it comes in from like decalcifying, detoxing, and detaching from a society that is giving you a Bible. Not the Holy Bible that we're following, but the Bible of society, the things that are correct. I think that if we detach from what we have thought is correct and actually feel the correctness, feel the God within us, feel the power of ourselves, and then we promote that to other people, things would change without words, because literally the human mind, humans wrote a Bible. Whether God gave them the power to write it or not, they wrote it. So that means that God, everything that he gave that one person, he gave to you, he gave to me, he gave to all of us. Everything he gave to Dr. King, he gave to you, he gave to me. So it's not about looking on the outward. It's time to look on the inside. It's time to look at the God that's within you.
Long live Tupac, man.
So you said a lot, and one of the main things I want to point out is about what you said about us as a people. When you look at us and comparison to the other nations, it seems as if we are the people who want to integrate as far as our communities the most. Because when you look at the Chinese community, right, the Arab community, all the other communities, they cling to each other first, and then what? They outsource to the other nations, do business with them. What do you think? Do we prosper better when we're integrated into the other communities, or should we more so focus on us as a people?
Well, I think the thing is we need to, control our own destiny. We need to control our own dollars. We need to control our own fates. We need to teach our history because, clearly you look at instances, if you ask the regular kid nowadays to identify anyone outside the civil rights movement or the freedom struggle, they can't do that. And when they think that's problematic because we're getting to a point now where we're using a different dictionary than our own ancestors. When we say something about what is a problem in contemporary times compared to a problem that past peoples had to endure, they would say that's not a problem. But whereas we got people who got really problems in real situations, and not to say that those problems haven't evolved and changed over time, but at the same time, I think in terms of controlling our own destiny and controlling our own dollars and controlling the own dynamics of our community, that's why I think it's need to be paramount in towards to address the historic grievances of our communities.
He quoted to Harry Belafonte that he integrated his people into a burning house. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I mean, you had the Vietnam War going on at that time. You had a lot of strife and everything in the community as far as trying to bring jobs, trying to bring wealth, trying to build business. So he understood those things, and I think that's what he was realizing, that, okay, yeah, we've gotten to the point where we're trying to integrate schools and other aspects of our lives into society, but we still need that economic boost to make things turn.
Okay, with what you said, has that been realized for us as far as the jobs, the wealth? Do we have any of that now?
No, but we have wealth in the community, whether or not it's shared. That's another aspect of it all, because there's a lot of wealth in the African American community. But what are we doing to bring others along to help in the growth
Actually,
of the community?
Actually, the wealth that we have is previous years before, and I'm pretty sure it just keep getting higher and higher. The previous years, it's been at 1.1 trillion. 1.1 trillion. Now, if, like you said, if we shared that within ourselves, we would be well off. But since we have to depend on everybody else, that's the point of that assimilation.
It's within our community because there are a lot of African Americans who have wealth, whether or not they want to contribute into the growth and the benefit of the community of our own volition.
Okay, so what you're saying is the wealthy don't care about us.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Okay, do you think that we as a people do better when we are integrated with the so-called other nations or when we separate?
Break that down to me.
So, I mean, as far as us being assimilated, like us living in the same communities, going to the same grocery stores, yeah, together.
It's not about the color, man. Really, it ain't. It's not about the color, man. You know, that's just a wave. You know. You know.
Going back to Dr. King, right? When Dr. King, before he died, he said that he felt like he had integrated his people into a burning house, meaning that he felt like integration maybe not have been a good thing. Do you agree or disagree with that?
On the gray area side, I agree. Black and white.
What does that mean necessarily by the gray area? Yeah.
I taught recovery class and it's planted in me, but I just can't give it out. You know what I mean? I know what it is, then I don't know what it is. You feel me? The gray area is like a area where you don't pick and choose. You let it flow. Long live Tupac, man.
50-50.
Okay. Now with the businesses, back then we were segregated, right? So we had to have our own businesses, our own hotels, our own bus lines, banks. How about that today? What do we have today for ourselves? Also, back then we had our own hospitals, our own universities, our own airports as well. So now, where's our own?
What you mean, where is our own?
Where's our banks now? Where's our hospitals? Where's our own schools?
We all use the same hospital. I mean, if you want to use that hospital, you can. It depends on your money.
But who does that hospital belong to nowadays?
Like who uses it or like who owns it?
Some of the hospitals I know, a white man.
What about the banks?
White man.
Some are black.
Some of them white men.
Do you believe in the Bible?
To an extent.
Okay. What about you?
Yes.
Okay, because what we do, we teach our people according to the scriptures that we are the 12 tribes of Israel. The blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, we make up the people of the book, right? So I say that to say, in the Bible, it actually tells us that we are supposed to be separate from the other nations because the Most High God gave us his law, statutes, and commandments to govern the whole world. But what we have done is because according to the scriptures, you read Jeremiah 23:25. The scripture said, I heard the prophets that have prophesied in my name. Before I say that, let me ask you a quick question. What was Martin Luther King's favorite, what was his famous speech?
The most famous one is probably going to be the I Have a Dream speech.
I have a dream, right? You would agree?
I concur.
Okay, in Jeremiah 23:25, can somebody grab that for me really quick? Because I want y'all to see this for yourselves. I'll show both. It says, verse 25, right here. It says, I have heard well, I'll let you read it.
I can't see that well.
Okay, I'll read it for you. I have heard what the prophets said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. Verse 25, you see it right there? Because one of the things Martin Luther King advocated was us to what? Join with the other nations. The Bible isn't about that. I say that too also because you made a statement earlier about Martin Luther King following Christianity. He never really followed anything from the Bible's perspective. If you research anything about Dr. King, his mentor was who? Gandhi. That's who he learned from. Gandhi was a so-called Arabian man, which we are not of the seed of the Ishmaelites according to the Bible.
So with us being here on the Martin Luther King Center, are you familiar with Mohandas K. Gandhi?
No, I'm not. No, I was studying that a couple of years ago when I came through here, and I was looking that up, but I really don't. Can you elaborate that on?
Yeah, I actually can. Very plainly put, he actually hated black people. He hated black people. And so Dr. King, he draws a lot of his ideology and a lot of his thoughts and ideas from Gandhi. So do you believe it would be somewhat of a contradiction if that's like you my enemy, but then I turn around and I quote everything you say? Do you think you don't see anything wrong with that?
Yes, I do. Now, I cannot speak because about this, that Martin Luther King followed him, because I have not read that and I have not followed that history on that. But if a person follows somebody else's Christianity and you know that it's wrong, then you're not a Christian. But I will research that myself as well, and I will put some clarity on it.
Shalom, shalom, family. So to conclude this episode of Cuts from the Streets, we want to go into scripts a little bit, all right? Because we want to thank the Most High for this opportunity that we now have through what took place in the civil rights movement. And we're not taking nothing away from what brothers like Dr. King and Malcolm X did for our people and what they fought for. But at the end of the day, none of what their beliefs, their ideals of what our people hold to some type of value nowadays, none of that is in the Bible. Integration is not in the Bible. Getting together with your oppressor is not in the Bible. The slave owner holding the slave hand, that's not in the Bible. Okay? Read Sirach 30. No, matter of fact, get me Deuteronomy 32 and 8 to prove that right quick. I'll pull that one. Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. We're going to see if anywhere in the Bible it ordains integration. In actuality, we're not even integrated. We didn't bring nothing to, we don't have our own hospitals. We don't have our own schools. We don't have our own universities. We don't have nothing of our own. We're assimilated. We depend on the so-called top nation to provide everything for us. Get that right quick.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance.
So the Most High always never wanted integration. He always divided the nations. Go ahead.
When he separated the sons of Adam.
He separated the sons of Adam. He didn't integrate the sons of Adam. He separated them because he knew we were supposed to be a separate people. Go ahead.
He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So the children of Israel got the best of the inheritance, and the other nations got whatever was left. All right, that's it.
For the Lord's portion is his people.
So the Lord's people is Israel. The Lord always has his chosen people, which is Israel. Okay? And the dream that he dreamed was a foolish dream because it's not according to the Bible. Get what you got.
Here we got Ecclesiasticus chapter 34 and verse 3. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to a face.
Go ahead.
Of an unclean thing, what can't be clean?
Read verse 1. Verse 1.
Sirach 34 verse 1. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false.
And what?
And dreams lift up fools.
You see that? Dreams lift up fools. You can't really regard on a dream. And that was not even the speech to the mountaintop. Well, that was not his speech. He plagiarized many speech.
That speech was actually written by a man by the name of Archibald Carey.
Right. Okay.
Prior to, I think it was in the 50s.
And also the movement was not even his movement. He took on the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay?
If you do any research on him, he was known for plagiarizing a lot of stuff. In school, that's what happened with his doctorate degree and everything. Plagiarism. Right. So it's not the first time that it happened to where Dr. King, or whatever we call him, where he plagiarized something. It happened many, many, many times.
Right. And like you mentioned earlier about the integration, you said we didn't integrate with our own schools or with our own businesses and things like that. But that was a part of it. Well, we would assume that him having the dream that he had that would have been the plan for us to come integrate into society or be assimilated into society, and then have those things. But that wasn't the case. But let's get the scripture. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 20.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, get it for me.
Jeremiah chapter 32, chapter 23, and verse 32. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams.
So wait, read that one more time.
Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams.
So Dr. King had a dream, and his dream was for us to be assimilated into society, thinking that we were going to get those same rights that the so-called white man and all the other nations had already had. But that goes directly against the Bible. God says he's against those that have false dreams. When you look at societies or look at communities like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you got what was known as Black Wall Street. You also have Rosewood, Florida. Those were thriving, powerful black communities.
Even right here at Auburn Avenue.
Auburn Avenue, right.
That was a thriving black community. But because of integration, those so-called, black-owned businesses, they slowly but surely went away. Now, we only got what we could claim as businesses. Soul food joints and barbershops. That's what we got as a nation.
A couple
car washes, right? A couple details.
But yeah, with that this has been another episode of Cuts from the Street.
Hey, I got one.
Okay.
I got one.
You got one?
You guys got to bring this up.
All right, okay.
It's the most important.
All right.
Acts chapter 5 and verse 29. It says, Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey God rather than men.
Who?
We ought to obey God rather than men.
So we ought to obey God rather than men. Not philosophies of men, not the ideals of men. We got to come back as a nation and follow God's commandments.
That's right.
That's it.
All right. So
with that, we appreciate you for tuning in for another episode. Cuts from the Street.
Cuts from the Street.
Stay tuned. Don't forget to send in your donations. We need your donations to travel, do big things,
and to even just keep this going.
All right? And as always, comment, like, share, subscribe. Also, comment your ideas, what you want to see next. As you may not know or may know by now, y'all ain't gonna help me out? Hold on. History's coming up next, man.
I didn't think you wanted to give it to him.
That was your thing.
I didn't think you wanted to give it to him.
You gave it. He can't hold no water. He gave it away.
Like one of y'all can hold the water.
He gave it away like last week.
Every Sunday y'all tune in Patient Saints Radio. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It goes down loud. Hey, and y'all never know where Patient Saints gonna be with the deacons and the captains, man. So y'all make sure y'all tune in every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All right?
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this and join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.